everyone, Maya here from My Little Learners, and I am back to share some lesson ideas for Black History Month. So February is Black History Month, and while ideally, of course, we are sharing Black stories and having conversations about Black history all year long, this is a month where we especially focus on honoring and highlighting the contributions of Black Americans in the United States. So for My Little Learners, I shared last week how I scheduled out our daily agenda and weekly schedules, and every week usually has a theme of activities and lessons that we do. And this week's theme is Black music, which means that today I will be sharing a list of children's book recommendations of Black musicians to share with you. I do have a whole list of excellent books for the whole of Black History Month with all kinds of biographies and books featuring Black characters. So if you want the full list, then you can check out the description down below. There's a link to the full list as well as links to order to add those books to your own collection, or check them out from the library if you see ones that you like. Otherwise, I will be sharing a bit more about these music ones in this video, and we'll give you a little sneak peek about what's inside and how we are using them this week for some fun music lesson activities. I'll also get into a little bit about some invention timeline things that we're doing and some inventing activities with some other book recs that feature Black characters and one or two other activities that we're up to this week. Also, quick note, you'll notice I am in a different background. I am indoors today in front of my bookshelves. I am also, I mentioned before, a children's book reviewer. So in exchange for review copies, I share recommendations on social media through My Storybook Library on Instagram, and I do read-alouds on my Storybook YouTube channel, interactive read-alouds, where I ask questions throughout the story, another fun way to engage students virtually and all over the world, really. So if you want to check those out, you can check them out down below in the description. There's links, but otherwise, let's get to the lesson planning. Now, My Little Learners have been obsessed with singing lately and making little music videos that they put on their own little YouTube channel. So I thought it'd be really fun to start off Black History Month focusing on some Black musicians and actually have them do a little bit of songwriting themselves. So the first thing I always do when planning out the weekly lessons are trying to think of read-alouds and books that will connect, because I always think it's a great idea to connect literature with our lessons, and that way you get your read-aloud in and you get to do some fun extension activities. So I have with me here a little stack of some books that I wanted to share with you that I think would be great if you wanted to do a Black Music Week or unit with your little learners as well. These are some great books for you to check out. The first one that I read on Monday to open up the week is this one called Welcome to Jazz. And this one is really cool because it goes into what exactly makes up a jazz band, all the different like jazz terms, and it goes into a little bit about the history too, how it started in Louisiana and how the Black community helped start the jazz movement and music. And what I really love about this one too is that if you see these buttons here, if you flip through the pages of the book, and I'll give you a little sample sneak peek, and if you flip through the pages of the book, you'll see it talks about different musics and sounds, and then sometimes you'll see like a little number, and if you see the number, then you go over here and you press that number, and it's super cool because it'll actually play a clip of the music. Or it shows some of the different instruments that they use in jazz, and then that way you can hear what the different instruments sound like. A great interactive activity for the kids, and they love hearing what the sounds actually sound like. So this is a great introduction to jazz, like a style of Black music in the United States. But then after that, our next activity, after Monday, we got to listen to it. We looked at some jazz music and listened to some jazz music. Then I introduced our next activity, or a week-long activity, which is where they would actually each individually read a book about a Black musician and take some notes about them. And using their notes, they were to write a song, write their own lyrics to a song, explaining and sharing about that person's life and their accomplishments. And let me go ahead and show you the books that I shared with them before going more into what the actual lesson and planning process looked like to help them write their song. So the first one I want to share is Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington was one of the greatest jazz and swing music composers of the century, and this one has the most beautiful illustrations. Look at those pictures over here. I'll give you a sneak peek to show. Just beautiful illustrations, a great way to introduce him to students. And it's always fun if they chose Duke Ellington or one of the other musicians, then we got to listen to that person's actual music a little bit and get to appreciate the music that they made. So Duke Ellington is a great one. It also won a Caldecott Honor Book. So as you know, great illustrations. Here's another fun one. So this is about Chick Webb, the king of drums, and it goes into his life. He was one of the best drummers in the swing bands at the time, and it goes into how they did Battle of the Bands, and he actually battled Duke Ellington and lost, but he also battled another person, the king of swing, and he won, and he was named the king of drums. And this is a great story, very inspirational. He was born with a crooked spine. He was ill. He grew to only about 4 foot 1 inch tall, and it says even though he was small, he made a big sound on the drums and didn't let that stop him from chasing his dreams to becoming like a great musician. So another inspiring one. This is a fun one, actually a new series of books that just came out about groups of people accomplishing great things. So it goes into this band of 3 friends, Flo, Mary, and Diana, and they're teenage girls from Detroit, and how they come together and make a band. They were best friends and 3 Black women, and they broke so many records for album sales when they released their music. And I think picture books, biographies, are one of my favorite genres of picture books, just because it's such a great way to learn history and learn about other people with the pictures, and it gives the information in such like a precise and succinct way for kids to get it all without having to read like so much, but they get a great overview of the person's life. So another great one. And then these 3 I'll share at the same time because it's from one of my favorite series. I don't know if you've seen this biography series, but it's called Little People, Big Dreams. And they have so many different books featuring all these different people. But it's really cute because it always starts with their childhood and how these little people had these big dreams and grew up to accomplish so many great things. So this one's about Prince. They have one about Aretha Franklin. And then I actually just got this one in the mail to review about Stevie Wonder from Quarto Kids. They make so many great books. So if you're interested in any of these books, my friends, again, the links can be found down in my description below to add them to your own collections. But now I think I am ready to go into what we actually did with these books and how we planned our songs. So on Tuesday, I introduced all the books to them, and I told them, well, they get to pick of one person, and then their job was to read the book about them. And then on a note paper that I gave them, they were to take some notes about 3 different parts of their life. The beginning of their life, maybe something about their childhood, the middle of their life, maybe how they started music, and the end of their life, what songs they were famous for, how did they become famous, what are they best known for. And then they're at the bottom of their notes, they're supposed to write down some character traits and some physical traits. And let me show you what that note-taking paper looks like. So one of the students chose Aretha Franklin, and I just quickly made this like note-taking sheet paper. If any of you are interested in this activity, I will link all of the papers and worksheets that I used down below. And here it is. And if you see, they are so interested in songwriting, so I also wanted to give them some information about how you make a song. So we started talking about verses and how all songs have verses and they have a chorus that repeats. So after we talked a bit about that, I showed them the note-taking paper and showed them that the first verse of our song would be about their beginning of their life. So they're supposed to find maybe 2 or 3 facts about the beginning of their life. And I wrote little notes here for them, like suggestions, maybe like where they're born, a special childhood memory. And a lot of these books will include like something special about their childhood. And this student chose Aretha Franklin, and she wrote that she learned piano just by listening to it, which I thought, yeah, that's a really cool fact. Put it in your first verse. Next, down here, I put the second verse to be the middle of their life, maybe when they started playing music, main event, maybe they formed a band. Write down your notes here. Third verse, it was broken down here. Read your book. And what's helpful for like beginning, middle, end is like they're reading a book. So most likely like the information they want in the beginning will be at the beginning of the book. Then the middle, they could get from the middle, then the end of the book. They know, okay, I better write something down. This is the end. What are they famous for? A special thing that happened. What songs do we know from them? Then for the chorus, we've been practicing a lot about character traits versus physical traits. So I told them to write down some character and physical traits, and then we would change this and use those to make a chorus for their song. So they took all their notes and they were super excited about it, finding all their facts, writing it down, and then that took up the Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we put it all together into a song lyrics format. And let me show you what that looks like too. So for this, I showed them all this. I put this up so that they could all see how you write out a song, just to show them how it's formatted. So you got the first verse, and I said that's where you talk about the beginning of their life, and then skip a line. You want a gap between this first stanza, this first verse, and then you make another verse, which is your chorus. And then you skip a line, put your second, skip, repeat the chorus, third, repeat the chorus. And I had them listen to the song Count on Me by Bruno Mars and had them hear, like, how many times does that chorus repeat? You'll notice he repeats that same part, like, count on me, like 1, 2, 3. So he repeats that part a lot. So that's the chorus part, the part that repeats, and it repeats after every verse. So this is like a little fun way to introduce songwriting to them and get that in there too. Then I just gave them a blank piece of paper, and I actually drew some lines in for them so that they could see the breakdown. Here they have the title of their song, the first verse, the chorus, second, chorus, then the back third, and then chorus. And they're using this as their song lyric sheet. So they got to write this all out today. And what is super fun is that my first year of teaching, had this parent donate a big box of musical instruments for kids. And what's really fun is that the next day, so for Thursday, we got to take all the instruments out and they got to practice singing their songs and putting instrument music to it in the background, trying out the different instruments and seeing what sounded good. So for example, we have things like bell drums that they could use. I have things like even cymbals and drums with sticks that they could either pat or used with drums. We even had maracas, and I even had like even little bells, and then these rhythm sticks. And what's really cool is that now we can also get into more music learning too, about rhythm, and then even about volume. Like, you don't want the instruments to overpower your voice, so make sure you're not like playing them too loud, or make sure that you're projecting. I actually have one of those really cool microphones. I should have brought it. I don't have it with me right now. But I have those cool microphones that you can get, and I'll link it down below. But that they can use so that they feel like a real singer on stage, and they can have the microphone. And what I told them would be fun is to like make their own little band with the other 2 kids. So one person wrote the song, and then they got to divide up the lyrics so that each kid got to like sing a verse, and then they would be in charge of assigning each kid an instrument to play so they could be like a mini band for each song. So each person was in charge of their own song and getting to decide who did what job in their little band. Now, of course, if they are making songs and preparing and everything, then we have to have a celebration and a concert. So it was super fun. On Friday is when we always do our big celebration of our learning. So we set up a concert, and you can see here that we used this little part of the playground as their stage. They got to perform up there. They had their microphones. I told them to dress up in like concert clothes if they wanted. They each get to bring their toy on Friday. So we set up the toys as their little audience members, and then they each took turns performing their songs all together. And since they like making their YouTube videos, they also filmed it on YouTube. And then I filmed it so that their parents could see too. And it was super fun way to share their learning and to share about these Black musicians, learn a bit more about them, learn about the music that they've been creating, appreciate that, but then also get a chance to create their own. So super fun little weekly lesson activity. And then real quick, I just wanted to share 2 more really quick activities, shorter ones that we did earlier in the daytime during our ELA time. And one of them was an invention ones. We've been actually reading about a technology and invention unit and just finished it up. We had a couple more days before the end of the week, and I didn't want to start something new. So I read aloud to them these 2 books. Are great books, great STEM books about inventing, featuring our Abby, our African-American girl, creator and inventor. And my girls were very excited to read about Abby because unfortunately in their benchmark book, the technology and invention chapter only featured male inventors, which I was super disappointed, and they were also super angry about it and were like, why weren't there any girl inventors mentioned? So I wanted to make sure to feature a girl character in the books I shared with them. So these are actually by a a biochemical engineer who actually has several patents out for inventions and creations, Dr. Arlen Simone, and she actually shared these books with me, and they're really cool. It goes into the scientific process as well. So there's this little girl, she always thinks of what's a problem she has, and then how can she fix it. And of course, she always doesn't solve it right away at first, so it's always cool to see like how she goes through the process of trying out new things, and she doesn't give up, she keeps persisting, she makes plans, she writes out her procedure. Great way to go through that process with a child of how to like create and what steps you need to take to really test your thing and make it. This one, she had a problem with there's laundry machines and drying machines. How come there's no folding clothes machine? So she wanted to make like a folding machine. So I read these to them, and then for a quick activity, I had them think of a problem and then what they could invent to solve it. And again, I just gave them a quick little note paper. Just made it up real quick, what the problem is, what their invention would be, how they would solve it, how it works, write a little paragraph about that, what materials they would need to build it, and then a quick picture of it. And this was on Thursday. So then on Friday, I told them they would get to build a model of it. So they wouldn't get to build like the actual thing because they probably wouldn't have all the materials, but I got them out like cardboard and then like string and like all sorts of craft materials, and they could build a quick little model of it, and then they got to share with each other their inventions and just read off their little note paper to present. So it's always fun for them to get to present things, and that was super cute. Now, I have one more bonus activity for you that goes along with more of our technology invention unit, but it just came out super cute, so I wanted to share it. But we made a timeline of the kids' lives versus inventions. And so the way it works, so see, look at this whole thing. We've been working on it for 2 weeks, but it was really fun because I asked the parents to help the kids get a picture of them for every year of their lives. And then they would bring the pictures, and we looked at the pictures, we showed them, shared them, and then for every year of their life, they'd have to find an invention that was invented in that year. So you'll see here, and I'm trying to block the picture so you don't quite see the kid's face. So for example, this is her and she's born in 2012. We blew the picture up here at the top, and then down here they wrote a little description about their picture, about them at that age, and then down here is where they wrote about an invention that they researched. And as you see, we went through every single year of their life, found all these different inventions that we learned about, and then at the end they got to hold them up and share them with their friends, and we talked about which invention was coolest, what are some cool things they found, and they loved seeing the pictures of each other when they were younger to growing up. So that was super fun, and it was also such a great way to get in research, and they also love, you know, anything to do with themselves and sharing about themselves. So it's a great way to connect learning about timelines and how those work, doing research, looking things up on the computer, taking notes, and then putting it all together and focusing on still the technology invention theme for our unit. So that was really cool. I also have note-taking paper available for that if you're interested in that project. We call it Inventions Through My Life, and it's again a comparison of their life versus what was invented in that year. What happened to them, what was invented in that year. So a great activity for you to try out too, and it looks super cool when it's done. Great to look over and see all the pictures and what they wrote, and then all the inventions they found. Okay, friends, well, I hope you got some great ideas out of that. I had a lot of fun sharing it with you, and we have some other themed weeks coming up for Black History Month. I really want to do like a Black Artist Week and have them do different art projects. Also, maybe get into some more inventors and things like that. So I look forward to sharing more. If you have any questions or things you want to see or lesson ideas, please let me know down below in the comments, and I'd love to share. Or if you have any ideas of how you're celebrating Black History Month, please share with me. I'm always looking for new ideas for my little learners. But my friends, I am going to go do some lesson planning for next week, which is Valentine's Day and Lunar New Year's. So until next time, happy learning.